Hey, we should be live. Microphone looks good. Go capture. Alright, so we're back. We are working on the Grim Captain. I am a bit under the weather. I had really bad post-nasal drip the past couple of days, and now that's turned into congestion, and my throat's all messed up, so gonna be a lot more coughing than usual, potentially. A lot more clearing of the throat. Like that. But I wanted to work on the Grim Captain a little more, and I don't feel that bad. So, got my water, and we're gonna go try and get through. We have 43 more cuts to make. A bunch of the cuts we need to make, I think, are in the vampire list, because we have so many of them still on here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So, a third of the available space for cards in the deck right now are vampires. A little bit over that. And, well, we do not have anywhere near that many pirates, merfolk, or dinosaurs. I don't even think we have that many if we added all of the cards together from the other three categories plus the changelings. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we just barely have. Right? Was it 23 or 26 was the vampire count? I think it was 23. So we have one more everything else put together than we do vampires, and that's 2/3 of the deck taken up. So that only leaves like roughly 20 slots if we cut a few more things for us to put. Excuse me, for us to put, spells like Demonic Tutor and Damnation and Soul Ring, things we might need in this deck. So, definitely need to make cuts, and they kind of need to come from. I think the vampire list needs a bunch of cuts, and what you want to call it? We probably need to cut a couple more between the pirates and the changelings. We want to get to the point, I think, where like roughly 40 of the cards are the creature types that we need. But real quick, there are a few other cards that are not those creature types, and I honestly don't think we have room for them. So I'm going to find them and make a decision on them for right now. Like, if I can definitely cut them, we will. And if I can't just look at them and go, yeah, we absolutely can afford to cut them, and we'll hold off for a little bit, but I don't like their chances of making it all the way through. Rana, Kalidas. Know we had a few. I find them, I think they're going to go. Doom Whisper. That one almost has to stay. He is way too good at getting cards into the graveyard. Sir Conrad can go. He's really strong in the deck. He's doing a lot of the things that the deck wants to be doing, but we don't need him for any of that. So I think it's safe to cut him. Murderous Rider can be in the deck as part of the removal package. Like, I'm running Murderous Rider because of Swift End. The fact that it's also a 2/3 lifelink creature, which works with some of our other Vampire Life Matters cards. is just an added bonus, but we can run him for the removal side of him as one of our um, utility cards. I gotta be honest, I think we're getting rid of the all of the what's the actual one? Wound reflections, except for the bloodletter, since it is a vampire. Like, we don't need either of them. We're near Westgate Regent. Let me find wound reflection real quick, because I think we can get rid of that also. I don't think the deck actually needs it. Alright, so to Westgate. Spy's a vampire, Breach the Multiverse, Pile-On, Palantir, Virtue. Yeah, we leave, like, the bloodletter in, that's fine. So the Roaming Throne is kind of like Changeling, in that when it's in play, it's the creature types. We might still be able to cut it, and I need to consider that, but it can stay for right now. I need to double check how many, especially vampires, how many triggered abilities we have left. Once we've made all the other cuts, to decide if we can afford to keep this in the deck. Cool, Veto, more Changelings. Patron of the Pain's a vampire. Crossway Troublemakers. Skeleton Crew's a pirate. Okay, so I think we can get rid of Sir Conrad. I don't like the demon. Almost definitely stays. Roaming Throne might go. Yeah, I think the demon is the only one I can justify keeping. Let's make sure Sir Conrad isn't anywhere else, like in the mill section. Okay. Alright, so he's gone. So that brings us down to 100, so 40 more cuts. Yeah, I think we need to lose a handful of vampires. So if there's 100 cards left on the list, and we had a little over 40. So there's 60 cards and only 20 of them can make it out of the remaining cards. That's going to be rough. That's a lot of utility spells gone, a lot of self-mill and such. Like, that does not leave us with enough room for a lot of things. Alright, so Demonic Tutor, Vamp Tutor to actually tutor things, Entomb and Buried Alive to put creatures in the graveyard that we need to get there. I think we can get rid of Diabolic Intent then, and if Imperial Seal's still on the list, we can probably get rid of that too, although it does help that we can put it on top and then mill it with one of our cards. So that's functionally like being able to tutor for it with how the deck works. We can probably cut the sub-theme of the Nightmare Lash and the other one, the Lash Writhe, I think it's called. I don't think we need that. The Grim Captain's already decently powerful. Making him giant is certainly helpful, but again, it's not necessary. It's more important that the Grim Captain just be indestructible than that he be giant. You can get rid of the Lash Writhe then. Also, we have other things that can make him giant, so that's fine. Tracker, Dire Fleet Hoarder. I thought I cut the Dire Fleet Hoarder. 1 second. 1, 2, 3. Ravager. I definitely cut him off of the Pirates list then, because he's not... Yeah, when we get down here to Pirates, I have the Ravager... Ravager... Oh, did I accidentally cut the Ravager from up above? I might have done that. Hang on. So, copy the Ravager. Hop back up here. Back down here. So we have 1, 2... Yeah, we only have 8 pirates down here, which means I cut the Dire Fleet. I cut everybody but the Ravager down here. And we cut everybody up here who's not the Ravager. Oh, no, wait, there's the Ravager. Alright, so we cut Poisoner and... Hoarder? I know we cut the Hoarder. Huh. That's awkward. So we get rid of the Hoarder off the list. The Ravager is still up here on the list. We'll have to do a recount later so I can figure out what cards I still have. We have the Poisoner up here, and the Poisoner's not down here. I thought I kept the Poisoner. I also kind of thought I cut the Freebooter. Down here we have the Tracker, because it exiles graveyards. We kept Ruin Raider. We got rid of the Knave. Alright, so we got rid of these 3 off of the list, and then I got sidetracked by the Pirates still being on there, so... Let's get rid of these 3 down to 97. Clear that off, and then head back down to the Pirates. I'll have to figure out what's going on with them, and if I'm still cutting the Poisoner. I remember going back and forth on the Freebooter, because it's a small flyer that has a bit of disruption to it. So that's nice and all, but... thought I cut that one. I thought I kept the Flash 2/2 Death Touch in for the same like it can give Death Touch to the Changelings, to one of the things with like Psychic Paper or Stalactite on it, if need be. Pop back up here. Look at the rest of the cards. Doom Whisperer I want to keep. I think we can get rid of Mausoleum Secrets for the same reason as what's its name? Diabolic Intent. Fire Triton, Feed the Swarm, Pretender, Nexus, Henrika, Baron Estate, Cemetery Tampering, Breach, Pylon. It's entirely possible that Breach has to go, because it's a one-shot big mill, and I kind of need to keep putting cards in the graveyard. Palantir might also go. It's mostly card draw, more so than it is milling, but opponents can choose to have me be milled instead. But they're usually not going to, once it gets up too high, so... might be able to cut the Palantir. I do love the card, but it's not a great fit for most commander decks. Changeling, Toxic Deluge. Skeleton Crew, Psychic Paper, Dino DNA, and Spitting Dilophosaurus. Okay, so we did already get rid of... what's its name? The Three Kingdoms Imperial Seal. Alright, so we can get rid of Mausoleum Secrets also. This brings us down to 96. In theory, who knows what the actual number is now? Because apparently I messed up at some point. Sip of water. What are we gonna do? Oh. Let's figure out the pirates, so... Oh no, Poisoner is still on the list. Okay. Up here. Or was he not on the other list? Is that the problem? Go down here, he's not on this list. I have the pirates. That's Graveyard Hate. Pirates, so... Yeah, that was the thing. He's not down here. So, Tracker, Ravager, Freebooter, Ruin Raider. Tracker, Ravager, Freebooter, Ruin Raider. Tracker, Ravager, Freebooter, Ruin Raider. And we have the Poisoner, Forerunner, and Plunderer. So the Poisoner's not down here, but the Poisoner is still up there. And then we have Corpses of the Lost and Skeleton Crew as the last two. So Corpses of the, or Skeleton Crew, Throne, Corpses of the Lost. Alright, so right now this one is still up here. Let's put that down with the other pirates. It's still on the list. Alright. Hey, let's do a quick count, see where I'm at, see if I'm actually at 96 or not. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 7, 8, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 5, 36, 37, 8, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 9, 60, 1, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, because he's our commander, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 4, 95, and 96. Alright, so the count is accurate. I'm also noticing something else. Where's my vampire list down here? Hatred of the Vein, Veto, Silver Smoke, Viscera, Nocturnus, Bloodletter, Henrika. I don't know, Twilight Prophet is still on the list. I was thinking about cutting Twilight Prophet because of all the times I've never gotten to draw a card with it. But it is still on the list. Hey. So I'm wondering if we need to get rid of. Or we need to get rid of some vampires. I'm wondering if we get rid of. We can get rid of Hexmage. We have other ways to kill planeswalkers. The upside to the Hexmage is not only is it a vampire, but it also gets rid of other problematic counters on permanents, some of which we can't interact with very well. Like, we have a couple of ways, obviously, to get rid of an artifact or an enchantment, but for the most part, we don't interact with those very well. So, if they're counter based, it gives us another out. We can stop something that's building up a bunch of counters that's going to have a detrimental effect for us by getting rid of all of its counters with the Hex Mage, making them have to start over again. In addition to killing off planeswalkers. Fortunately, it usually kills off the battle, and we're not running any of those, so killing a battle that way is terrible. I think that's how battles work. Sieges, anyway, if we remove all the counters from it, that would cause it to flip over. We're going to exile and get cast. We might be able to get rid of, like, the Haunt of Hightower. I do appreciate that it's taking resources away from the opponent, but it's also a 6-mana 3/3 flyer that slowly grows. Yeah, I can see getting rid of the Haunt of Hightower. We need to make some cuts from the vampire list, and I think that's one of the ones we can afford to get rid of. Probably Nocturnus, because I'm trying to get rid of more of the vampires, so... Well, definitely decent. That's something we actually need. I keep the Viscera Seer. Rid of... I could see it actually being Liberator of Malkier. Like, we have other cheap vampires that are not necessarily better, but doing more things we care about. Putting a 1/1 counter on each of my attacking creatures means that the other creatures have to be able to attack also, which may or may not be the case. It does help to bolster the Grim Captain. Like, if they have a bunch of things that can get in his way while he's indestructible, I can keep attacking with him. It's going to take a while to wear down any kind of defenses, so... The problem is that Drana is getting counters on him while the Necropolis Regent wouldn't be. Because he's not actually getting through for damage in that situation. Maybe we don't need the Butcher. Like, the Butcher's only really good if we're getting him off of the Grim Captain at 7 mana. Like, if I really wanted Grave Pact effects, I would much rather have the Grave Pacts I can afford to cast over the 7-drop one that I have to cheat into play. Maybe that can go. I don't want to cut too many of the cheap vampires, otherwise the only cheap ones we have are in the other categories, and they have less evasion abilities for the most part, so... I can see cutting the Butcher. I can see cutting the Hex Mage, honestly. I don't think we super need it. I want to keep things like the Nighthawk, though, since that has a better chance of getting through or killing something important. Can probably ditch the champion. I have a bunch of other card draw. I don't think I need a 5 mana 4/4 ground creature that draws me a handful of cards in one burst. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My dad creature, no, my dead creature. Bringer of the Last Gift, Aclazotz, Veto. I like the Ghoul because it's, we mill it and then it's value at that point. Like, we're going to get it back and then we're going to get to draw a card and then we're going to get it back again. Because I have a lot of lifelink cards, but maybe I don't need it. Alright, so let's do this first. We'll get rid of the Haunt. There's 1. Nocturnus. It's 2. Butcher is 3. Apparently he's on the list twice somewhere, so... Yep, there we go. Butcher is 3. X-Mage is 4. Oops. And Champion of Dusk. The other instance of champion should be of Kamigawa. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5? 1, 2, 4, 5. Yep, okay. So down to 91. All. Alright. What else can we cut from this list? I could see cutting Jet Medallion. So medallions are always good when you're planning to cast more than one spell in a turn. So Jet Medallion works as a mana rock if you cast one black spell in a turn. It works as a colorless mana rock functionally because it makes the spell cost 1 less. But if you cast multiple spells in a turn of the appropriate color, the medallion actually keeps giving you the discount, so it becomes, you cast 2 spells, it's like a soul ring that costs 2 mana. If you cast 3 spells, it's a Worn Power Stone for 2 that came in untapped, or a Grim Monolith that's going to untap next turn, and so on. So the more spells you can cast in a turn, the more value the Jet Medallion has. The problem is, I think for the most part, we are casting like 1 to 2 spells a turn, and some of those are artifacts, so I don't know if the Jet Medallion itself is actually worth it at that point. Like, it doesn't discount the Grim Captain at all because the throne is colorless. So maybe we can cut it. I think we're safe to cut Jet Medallion then. Like, the deck's not very mana intensive, so I don't think the Jet Medallion's doing a ton of work for us. It'll do a little bit. Might let us cast 2 spells occasionally in the same turn, but a lot of other artifact mana sources, including some of the ones we're running, would also do that, so not super worried. Order. So Citadel is just too good. Also have a bunch of lifelink creatures in the deck, so getting to gain all of that life. Yeah, I think maybe the Breach can go. With all of the things I have that exile opponent's creatures that would be put into the graveyard, it's probably not going to do what I want it to do. Getting back one of my creatures for 7 mana isn't that impressive, so. Alright, so we get rid of these 3. Regisaur, Silver Smoke Pool, Veto. Maybe the Throne of Eldraine is too much. 3-mana tap to draw 2 cards is decently strong. We do have to spend 3 black mana to do that. But that should be okay. I don't get any benefit from changing the creature's name. There's nothing I have that cares if I have a creature with that name in play, so maybe we get rid of the paper because it's too it's more expensive than the stalactite, and it's doing basically the same thing. I might not even have room for the stalactite at this point, so yeah, I think we get rid of psychic paper. Also, it doesn't actually give the creature a. Oh no, it gives it Ward 1 and can't be blocked. That's true. That's what. I'm focused on the other things that it's doing, but yeah, if we could give the Grim Captain unblockable while he's hexproof, that just makes it nearly impossible to kill him outside of a Wrath. And then I'm working on that one as well, so. Yeah, okay, maybe it's the Stalactite then. Same basic function, but. Yeah, +1/+1 in all creature types. And it still equips for 2. Okay, yeah, we can get rid of the Rune Stalactite then. Keep the paper. The 1, 2, 3, 4. Brings us down to 87. See? Alright. 87 cards left on the list. So Breach went. Stone Buried Alive are all on the list. Got rid of the Callous Blood Mage, right? Yes, this is only appearance now. Black Market Connections, Venomous Changeling, Outcast, Maskwood, Bloodline Pretender, Inversion. Maybe Inversion's just too weak. It also, because it's not a permanent, does not help with the Grim Captain past flipping him. And we have so much better removal. Hey, let's get rid of the Nameless Inversion then. Down here. I kind of want to ditch Rotting Regisaur too. It's got good stats, but I don't need to be discarding a card, especially if I'm not drawing multiple extra cards in a turn cycle. Like if I am drawing the extra cards, discarding relevant creature types that aren't super helpful, like discarding Marrow Bone Gnawer or one of the like medium changelings or something, just to get it in the graveyard, is doing me a lot better than sitting in my hand or getting cast. But then that brings us down to 4 dinosaurs. And we're already running light on the Merfolk with 2. Three, four, five, six, seven, 8 changelings. Coming back to the whole Kitesail freebooter thing where, like, am I actually going to cut him? The answer is maybe. See if we can get rid of a few more vampires. Like, I don't want to get rid of any of the ones that are left on the list. They're either very efficient or very powerful. Like, we've got a bunch of things like Vampire Nighthawk and Drana and Henrika. Sanguine Spy is not bad. I guess Sanguine Spy is closest to being like the next one to go. If I had to choose, and I'm getting to the point where I have to choose. Like there's another sack outlet which is helpful if I'm going to Living Death, and she's able to draw me cards once my graveyard is fully stocked. But my graveyard has to be fully stocked, might be the biggest thing against her. And Menace and Lifelink, if she was flying Lifelink and these abilities, probably could still keep her, but I'm pretty sure we crossed Nameless Inversion off the list already and came back to do this. Like, as far as lowered the number. Might be Silver Smoke Ghoul. I do like the value from it, but the actual body isn't that impressive. Very similar to what's its name? The original Zendikar Bloodghast. In that it has good value and good synergy with what we're doing, but its actual power level is kind of on the low side in comparison. Like, we get incremental value very slowly over a turn cycle, whereas, some of the other ones we can draw multiple cards or they're doing a lot more damage in the meantime than a 3-1 would be. Alright, so we'll get rid of these 2. So Silver Smoke. Spy. Drops us down to 84. Was a silver smote somewhere else, like card draw or something, was there? Okay. I didn't actually check for that when I was getting rid of him on the list. Alright, we're down to 84 now. What does my removal look like? Iron Tetsamok, Murderous Rider, Feed the Swarm, Pile On, Virtue, Bitter Triumph, Toxic Deluge. We got rid of Nameless Inversion. Or to cut any of the other removal spells. We might be able to get rid of one or two, but that's about it. Might be the Virtue. I do really like Scorn, but Virtue as a removal spell is not great, and we have plenty of other ways to reanimate things. We don't need the Virtue in play. Very potent once it's in play, but not necessary. So we're good. Cut that one. Like, we have a bunch of other reanimation effects, plus we kind of want creatures to go to the graveyard for the Grim Captain anyway. Or to set up like one of our other big swingy spells, so putting the creatures back into play does not help because then they're in play to die. The only upside is that it steals from any graveyard, so we could reanimate something from our opponent's graveyard to have it in play and then kill it off with Living Death or Bringer of the Last Gift, and then it's back in the graveyard instead of coming back to them, and then we could bring it back again later. Wondering if I don't need the Perpetual Timepiece. If I come down here to our self-mill cards, in addition to the throne itself, the Tampering, the Doom Whisper, the Orb. It's either the Orb or the Timepiece, I think. The Whetstone. Like, one of these three can go. Whetstone, Orb, or Timepiece. Doom Whisper I want to keep. Cemetery Tampering I want to keep. Buried Alive and Entomb are just good ways to set up the Grim Captain and to set up our various other reanimator things that we can be doing, so I think that's too strong to not run. Especially the Buried Alive. Being able to put, like, the Dinosaur, the Pirate, and the Merfolk into the graveyard with one card, guaranteed, seems way too good to pass up. I like that the Whetstone is reusable. Like, we can activate it multiple times in a turn cycle if we have the mana. Mesmeric Orb doesn't require mana, but it also doesn't let me, not do this thing. Like, every time we untap, we have to mill cards, so... the Timepiece is the slowest one, but also lets me buy back any of the non-creature things that I milled that I suddenly need by shuffling them all back in. which means it's also selective. Like, I don't have to shuffle back in the creatures that I wanted in the graveyard when I do that. Tampering gives me a free spell eventually, while also letting me mill 3 cards a turn cycle. Like, all of them have their uses and their downsides, and it's really hard to figure out which one or ones I can cut. I don't think I can cut more than one, because I need to be able to mill myself a lot. Like, the Grim Captain milling 2 is nice, but that's a little thing. That's a drop in the bucket for what we probably need to be able to do in order to flip him consistently, especially if our opponents are running Graveyard Hate, because we're going to be a prime target for that. So I suppose I do care about the volume, so I probably want to keep Whetstone and Orb, which leaves Timepiece and maybe Tampering. Maybe it is Tampering. Like, at first I thought Tampering was going to stay. It was between like Timepiece, Orb, and Whetstone, but it mills 1 extra card per turn, but also doesn't require a mana investment. Like, neither of these require a mana investment once they're in play. And I think the utility of the Timepiece might be stronger, so maybe it is Cemetery Tampering then. Brings us down to 82. We've slowed down to a bit of a grind here where I'm getting like 1 card every minute or so. I'd like to at least push it to 50-ish minutes, so let's go through the list 1 or 2 more times, see if I can find anything else that's questionable at this point. So, Witch. I like Blood Witch a lot. The Pro White and the Life Drain are both very potent. Drana lets me kill indestructible creatures, although she's very mana intensive to do so. But she has another way to do that. She can also kill multiple small creatures in a turn cycle. At the cost of like 3 to 4 mana per creature, so probably like 2 at most, but sometimes that's good enough. Also, again, she's just reusable removal, so that in and of itself might be good enough. You know, the fact that I have to spend all of my mana to kill like a 4 toughness angel or something might be fine as long as it's keeping the air clear for my vampires to get in for damage. I could see Last Blood Chief going. Her biggest thing is that the opponent, like, the biggest thing against her is the opponent gets to choose what I get back. So there's a little bit of politicking to be done with that. Um, if one of my other cards would deal with something that's bothering that player, convincing them to take a hit for 4 and letting me have that card back to help them. Like, hey, I can deal with this for, like, I'll kill this for you if you let me get back the thing that kills it for you, and you take 4 damage, kind of deal. So it does allow for a little bit of politicking. I guess Westgate Vampire is kind of underwhelming. Is he still on the list down there, too? He's up here, but he's not on the list of vampires. Hmm. Yeah, I thought, like, I'm looking at him, it's like, I would have gotten rid of him, right? I messed up somewhere when I cut things off the bottom list and not up here. But I did a count of the things on the actual list, so he was still physically on the list. I did not bump him off up here, is the issue. Are there any other vampires that are down here, or that are up there, but not down here? I'm wondering. Drana, Revenant, Agent, Drana, and Kalidas. Revenant, Regent, Drana, and Kalidas. The next one should be Prophet, and then Drana and Null Priest. Prophet, Drana, Null Priest. Alright. And Henrika was the next one, so we can get through that. Then we have Bloodletter, Bringer. Bloodletter, Bringer, Viscera Seer, Veto, Patron Coven. Viscera Seer, Veto, Patron Coven, Crossway, Marie. Alright, so the last two on this list should be Crossway and Marie. Okay. There's no other vampires that are still up there that I crossed off of this list somehow without actually taking them off of the list. Alright. Well, that used up enough time, so we're a little over 50 minutes, and I've slowed down dramatically. Also, I don't want to talk too much. Like I said, I've been a bit under the weather lately, so I'm gonna let that get better by not being too talkative. So I'm gonna call it here. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.